looking at the snake game, and I want to confirm that you can hear me loud and clear. Please confirm you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes,
Please.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for confirming. So I want to confirm how many persons have been able to launch the Jupyter Lab. Please, if you have been able to launch the Jupyter Lab, please indicate. Please indicate by raising up your hands. So, okay, Mr. Funsa has launched it. Please indicate if you have, okay, wherever you are, if you have gotten your IDLE ready, please indicate that you have gotten it, because I want to make sure everyone follows this thing as it is. Every step of the way should understand what is going on. Please, it's very important. That's why I'm asking. How many persons? Dr. Kwame, have you been able to set it up? Mr. Medion, Mr. Fonobong, Mr. Mark told me something about he's not in the office and going to be joining in with a mobile device. Okay, let's see if he's going to be able to do that for you as well, because I actually really wanted Jupyter Lab, because we're going to be doing it step by step, and each of the, you know, it comes with cells, but nevertheless, let's see how it goes. Okay. I don't know why persons are not here. Some persons are really missing it. This class, if you miss this class, it's going to really affect the whole of what you have been trying to get. So let me send another message across. Okay, so let's see how this just for them to join. Okay, so let's see how many persons we're able to get in. Okay, before we start, let's look at how we are looking at how the game is supposed to be like for us, and let's see what to do. So we can see something like this, and yes, you can see something like this. So we can see that there is it starts moving, and I can decide to can see this all will be building. You can see that different colors when it comes to this. By the time it gets to eat this, you can see it becomes that color gets in and also joins in. That's green as joining now. Now we want to get this one. You can see blue as joining again. So the next one will be red. It's coming to join in. Green joins in like that. You can see what we'll be building tonight. So we are starting with the screen. So once it does what it does, game over. You can see here by the time it touches the screen, the age of this thing, it goes back and the score refreshes again. You can see the high score already as 80, because that's the one I've played and it looks like that as well. So that's where we'll be starting tonight. The first one will be to get the snake head and also to get this screen working for us. So I created another place entirely so that we'll begin here with coding from the very scratch and see what we can come up with. Okay, and Mr. Funso, your hand is raised.
Sorry.
Okay, so I believe these are the persons that will be joining us in tonight's class. So let's just go straight to the point. And I don't know who has ever tried a snake game before now. Who has ever tried building something like this? Maybe somewhere, maybe it may not necessarily be using Python, maybe use another interface or something else. Maybe you have tried it before. Who has ever tried using it before? Okay. All right. So let's proceed. Don't know why we have not been able to join in, but let's just continue. I could have loved everyone to be here before we start, but we don't have any other choice than to move ahead. So let me go here and answer this. Let's start. So the first thing we're going to look at is we import the graphical user interface we want to use, which is going to be the turtle itself. And I've named my IPYNB note. That's my notebook. to be snake build up. So I can decide to start. So first of all, I'm going to have to import turtle. So I'm importing a particular uh, library, which is going to be the turtle, and it's used for what is a graphical user interface. That is a GUI. So we're going to import turtle. We have used it before. I can remember very well. I've used it before. So we click Shift and Enter. We go to another cell, and the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to be putting the first thing I told you is going to be screen. We want to do the function for the main screen. But before we do that, let's bring out the concept of global variable. Remember when we talked about global variable when we're trying to get into functions? We said that global variables actually you define it before you get into the main function so that you reference it inside.
Sorry, Mr. Emenike, please. I can't
Yes.
open a new file on Jupyter Lab like you did. How
Okay,
would I do that?
please share your screen to everyone. Everybody must just share your screen to us. So let me just stop my screen sharing. Share yours if you can. Please share your screen, Mr. Funso. Okay, it's right in front of you. See it there now. Click on that notebook. Yes, click on the Python 3. No, the Python 3 here. Yes, click on it. Fantastic. That's all. So you can rename, go to that upside. You can, that place that they're writing Untitled, you can right click it to, you can rename it. You can rename notebook to. So, okay, all right. So stop your screen sharing. Please stop. Let me share mine and let's continue. So the very first thing we're going to look at is we're going to define global variables, and we're going to look at the first thing we will look at. We need the windows. The windows, that's the screen itself. We also need the snake. And guys, if you really look at this particular snake, let me show you something. Maybe I did not run it, but if you look at this, something as something, it's the main loop at stop. So let me try to run this again. So guys, if you look at, let's look at this snake game now. You can see that as it is moving like this, if you look at this particular snake head, you see that this is in form of a list. This particular snake is in form of a list. If you look at the head comes in, but if you can see, it's been aligned in form of a list. I don't know who has seen something like that. You can see those items, those colors that are coming in are in form of what? In form of a particular kind of sequence. So we're going to be putting that as a global variable inside what? A global variable, which is going to be in what? We're going to define it as a list. It could be starting as an empty list for now. So that's why I'm just trying to, that's why I had to load this again for you to see. So I go back to the build up and let's see what we can do. So we'll define global variables. And the first one, let's look at the window. We want to define it as, first of all, we define the windows and we now said, okay, the windows, we're going to start it with none for now because we're going to be using it. Once we put it as none, we want to say that, okay, when we are putting inside the function, we can actually update that particular variable itself. So let's see what we can come up with. None, okay. Then snake itself, the snake itself will be an empty list for now. Will be an empty list, okay. Then the head will also be none. We have not done anything to it yet. We're still going to update it as well. So it's going to be none. Okay. Then the next one we're going to look at is the constant. I remember when we're trying to, at the very beginning class that we had for this Python course, then we define certain variables. They said there are certain variables that are constant, that they always come in form of a capital letter. All of them are capital letters. That means they are constant. They are what they do not move. They do not change at all. And what we are going to be using is for the width and the height of a particular word screen. So let's see. The width is going to be all in capital letter. These are constant values, constant variables, sorry. So we're going to use, let's use 600. You can decide to use any one you want. Me, I'm using 600. I can decide to use 500 or 700 as well. So I'm using height, okay, equals to, let's say 600 as well. Okay, so by the time we do this, now said, okay, these are what we call our global variables. And the next thing we want to do right now is to define a function that has different methods that are going to update these particular variables and which we have given to carry out a particular word operation. That is, we know what function does. It is set to a particular kind of function, which is this particular one we want to do what? To create the main screen. So how do we do that? We just shift enter and go to another cell and define a function to set our screen. So we define a function and you can decide to name it as set underscore screen. So by the time we name it as set underscore screen, definitely comes with open and close bracket. I'll put a column. That's the way of the function. That's how the row. Could have decided to put a what they call it, the doc string. You can decide to put a doc string like those doc strings that we remember what we used that time, the triple quotes kind of something. But I prefer not to use it because I believe you can actually say you want to use it in your code. You can in this particular one it's used. You can see there's a doc string here. You can see this is a doc string as well. So by the time we get that, you only know this particular one is just to give us information about our particular function. So I decided to go back to my set screen that we have done, and I said, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is to reference the global window. Okay, reference the global window. I said, okay, what am I going to do? Remember, we have to use the global itself and say, okay, global window. What do I want to do with this particular window? I want to put it inside a particular, I'm going to instantiate it into a particular object. Remember when we did for Turtle then, back then, we instantiate it and said, okay, this is how it's going to be. But before I do that, remember that anytime we're trying to create Turtle project, we always find a way to make sure that it is in the last screen should always come up. It should be inside a particular screen, and the last one is always going to be something dot main loop, which you are still going to do that before I even run this code, the whole of these cells, and we are going to see how it works. So now let's update the global variables and make it wonderful for us to work with. So the first thing we're going to do is to change that window that was none, okay? And said, okay, what are we going to do? Equals to what? We're going to call out the Turtle module in which we have imported. So we're going to call it out Turtle dot. What are we going to do is the screen first. Sorry, is the screen. So the screen comes out first. So you can see the screen and what are we going to do to that particular screen, which is we have instantiated into a what, updated it, the variable which is none before, now put the Windows itself and click enter. And I say, what are we now going to do to that window? This window should have a title. What do we want to name once the game is being played, once the game is being launched? What should we do? So dot title, what is the dot title? All these things that are saying dot, all these things are methods inside this particular Turtle module that we are using. So dot title is going to tell us, okay, when the snake game is loaded, it should give us a name on that particular window. So you can just say, you can decide to just use, let's say, snake, and decide to use snake game. I decide to use snake game for this. Please, as I'm coding, try and do the same thing. It's very, very important as well. And also, we need a color of a background, the background color of this particular snake game, the window itself. You can also check Google for different BG colors for Python Turtle. Can give you a whole lot of names. It always comes out on its own. It has different names you can call it, but in this particular one, I'll be using the white smoke color for the background color. You can type it on Google, check it out. You can just say uh, BG colors for Turtle, Python Turtle. It will give you a lot of string names that you can use, and it will bring it out for you as well. Okay, so let's use window.bg color. So you can see all of them are in blue colors. That's showing that it is a method on its own. So what I'm going to use is going to be white smoke. So that's the name of this part. You can check on Google too to check out the ones you want to use, the one that resonates with you. There is no problem about that. So by the time we do that for white smoke, the next thing we want to do is what is going to be our setup? What do you want our setup to be like? That's the width and the height of our particular screen that we want to use. So we now say window dot setup, window dot setup, and I'm going to reference in the setup we have what we call the width and the height. So the width we want it to be what? We want the width to be referenced to what the global variable, which is what? Capital WIDTH. Okay, that's for the width. That's mean that the width there that is a constant is 600. So we press comma, and the next thing we want to do is the height. Okay, and equals to what? The constant that is in capital letters as well. So you can see, and that will be that for the screen. So by the time you finish this, you can decide to say, okay, let me leave this and go to another cell and call out the function name to set our screen and get set for it. So let's call out the function name, which is set underscore screen underscore screen. So by the time you call this out, definitely it's going to be open and close bracket. But before I call this out, please, I would like to try out something. Someone should remind me of before we run a particular Turtle project. Remember, we always use the bottom of it should be something. Let me add another cell. Before we call out a main loop, the last every time before we run a Turtle project, there's something we normally use to make sure that everything is inside the line. Everything is inside this, like the Turtle project itself is inside a particular kind of screen. There's always a particular function we normally do at the bottom. Who can remind me of that particular one? There's something we did back then. Who can remind me? Is anybody? Always have what? The turtle.main loop. This someone said something. Hello, someone was trying to say, okay, turtle.main loop. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So I'm going to just okay. So I'm coming. Okay, someone just messaged me. Okay. So it's turtle.main loop. Turtle.main loop. Okay. So by the time you say turtle.main loop, okay, so that means everything that we are doing is inside the what is inside this particular main loop so that it will not cause error for us at any point in time. So what we're going to do right now, okay, so what I'm going to do right now is simply going to, for me to run and restart the kernel, and let's see what we'll have as a result. You can see right now there is an icon here that is showing here. You can see everything is coming out perfectly for us. I don't know if you can see my Turtle screen. You can see the height. Everything is perfect for us as we had wanted it to be. So we can see the snake game. This is our screen. Our screen is ready to work for us in our particular project. So you can see it here is looking fantastic as well. Please, wherever you are, I would like you to share your screen and show that you have actually done the same thing as well. If you have done it, maybe you may not need to share your screen. You can just raise up your hand. If you have any errors on your own side, please let me know if you have errors. It is very, very important. It is very, very important that you do this project. If this snake game is something that you may not really see most times online, or if they give you online to, if they show you online on in there, they might not really explain certain things for you to get. So, and we are doing it step by step. So it's always fantastic that we decide to do it ourselves. Okay. So I don't know how we can actually make. I don't know if anybody has have any difficulties while coding. Okay, Mr. Funso, I have seen your hand raised a little while.
Sorry, I can't see the screen again, and I'm still copying the codes.
Okay, so can you see the screen now?
I can see it. Thank you.
All right. So just look at these codes, and if you don't understand anything, please let me know. Let me know. It's very, very important. So the next thing we're going to look at is going to be the snake, the snake head. It's going to be the snake head. Please, if you have anything to say, please say it now. It's very okay, Dr. Payemi. Yes. Is it working for those
Okay.
using PyDroid? Is it working for you guys?
It's difficult to actually follow it. We just have to follow it, then try it maybe after the class or so. And then we can reach out to you maybe later if you have any question regarding the operation. But in the meantime, the questions I have, you will have to just be patient with me. I will have to ask them one after the other.
Okay.
So let me see the screen so that I can start asking.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. So at least I understand why we have to import turtle because we've done something like that before.
Okay.
This if I understand, if I get you correctly, this window, the snake and head, width and height, they are all global variables because we are going to
Yes.
be referring to them all through the
Yes.
game. Okay. Then this screen, this
Mm-hmm.
uh, this line 3, set screen.
There's three. Okay.
Okay, it's the screen that the interface the game is going to show,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yes, that's the function for it.
Okay.
We define a function. Yes.
Okay, then all this line 3 is just about formatting the screen, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. You're welcome, sir. Any other questions? Any other questions? Please mute yourself. If you have just answered, okay. So this is first of all, if please, Mr. Mark should say something now. Only Mr. Mark, please. So before Mr. Mark says something, if you're just joining in, this is our total screen, and we are building the snake game from the scratch. Okay, so you have the floor. Please, Mr. Funso, mute yourself. Okay, I've muted him. Mr. Mark, you have the floor.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Just that the PyDrop, so we simply follow the PyDrop is not giving us the
He's
total
not
screen.
giving you, right?
It's not giving.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm very sorry. So you have to just look at the code, copy it out, and when you get to where you have a system, then you just have to try it. I think at this stage, that's why I say at this stage it's not every because it's getting more complex. It's something that PyDrive may not be able to do, especially when we get into the data science part of it. That PyDrive will frustrate you. So there's no way of you have to find a way to get a system at this stage. There's no way out. There's no way I can tell you that. There's no hiding place. You need to use the system because you are getting advanced. It's not going to work for you. Okay. So any other questions, please, before we get to build the snake head? Any other questions? So if there are no questions, we just have to proceed to the snake head and see what we can do to create the snake head as well. So we're also going to create another function, and that one is going to be just to create the the head of the snake, and let's see what we can come up with. So if we are here, we're going to do something wonderful as well. So before we do that, we need to also update. Some persons are leaving. Is it the network? I don't know why some persons are leaving. Is it the network? Okay. So uh, we're going to look at the shape of our head. So in this particular global variable, we still need to add some things here, which is going to be the shape. What do you want the shape of this thing to look like? Should it be in form of a circle? Should it be in form of we are going to put it in form, maybe it could be in form of a circle, square, or triangle as well. So let's see what we can actually come up with at this particular point. So first of all, we're going to define, it's going to be a dictionary. So by the time we reference the key, it's going to give us what we actually want. So we're going to look at shapes and we're going to put it in a dictionary. So we can see here, we're still updating, we'll still keep on updating this global variable until at some time, maybe we've gotten an error, we can decide to go back and edit some things all for ourselves. So let's see what we can. So the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to put it in a key value kind of scenario, so that if we can call the name of the key, it will tell us what we actually want for the shapes of a particular program we want to run. So this particular one will be, let's say, this first one will be circle. So circle, you can decide to use circle here. Remember, it's a dictionary separated by commas. The next one you can enter and you use one and decide to put a colon. And this particular one, you can decide to say, okay, I want to make it a square. Please, I'm still updating the global variable as well. Please, if you can follow along, it's very, very important you follow along. And you can decide to also use a triangle. And by the time we do this, and decide to use a triangle. So let's see. So and decide to end it with a colon. With a curly bracket as well. And decide to make it like this. It doesn't mean anything at this particular point. So let's see how we can actually look at the shape. So after this set screen, let's add another cell. And this particular one, we're going to define a function that will be just for what? That's going to be just for, what do you call it? That's going to be just for the head. After that, we're done for today. So let's see how we can get into head, how we can create the head itself. So remember, we make sure we define a function that is descriptive enough. So we want to create head. So this is the function for create head. And definitely we're going to put it in what? We're going to put it in a colon and press enter, and we start our process. So we need the global, and we also need the snake itself. The global head and also the global snake. So we say global head, which is already known there, but we're going to use it now, comma, snake itself. Remember, we use snake here. If the head is also the snake itself. So remember when I showed you that the snake head is in form of, by the time it starts eating food, it's going to come in form of a list. It's going to come in form of a list. That's why I define it as an empty list here. So if there are any questions, please. Okay, there are no questions. Okay. If there are any questions, please unmute yourself and ask as well. If you have lost the way out of it. So we're gonna update the global head and also the snake as well. And let's see what we can come up with. So now click enter, and first of all, to create the head, we're gonna put head equals to, remember we instantiate it and said okay, total Oh, sorry, Ahmed is not the spelling of turtle. Please pay attention to your spelling. Turtle dot what turtle. Okay, and this is when you're just trying to tell it, okay, the snake head, this is the turtle itself. I want you to come out and like have a particular kind of uh, impression or kind of impression on the screen itself. That means you're trying to tell you, okay, it should come out as a figure. It should come out as something that you can actually see on the what on the particular word screen. That's why I see that turtle dot capital turtles. Now let's see what do you want the oh god I'm going to run this now. I've gotten used to shift enter that I've made a mistake now. So I'm supposed to press enter. Sorry about that. And I hope it doesn't cause problem because it's very important that we do not cause wala. I did shift enter instead of just enter. So sorry about that. Let's see. We can always correct something like that. So the next one is going to be the head and the shape. Which shape do you want to use? So head dot. We reference the shape in which we have put here before, and we're going to put the shapes itself. So we're going to call out the shape method inside the turtle first. Remember, we have instantiated it already. So head dot shape. What shape do you want? We want that of the one inside our shape. So we can just reference the dictionary shapes and we call out the key. And the key that we're using here, we can decide to use one. And by the time we use one here, the time we use one here, now this one means that the shape that we're going to use is what? One here means square. It means that the snake head that is coming out is going to be in form of what? A square because we put one. If we had put zero here, it could have been circle. If we had put two here, it could have been a triangle as well. So by the time we do that, we click enter again and we look at the speed. We want by the time we load our screen, by the time we load our screen, we want it to come out. We do not want it to move entirely at all. Remember, once you just load your screen, once the snake head comes out, we do not want it to get loaded at all. So I can decide to say, okay, head dot speed. And the speed we're going to use is going to be 0 for now. Definitely, we are still going to work on it as we move on. We click enter again. And the next thing I'm going to do is, now please pay attention, the head dot pen up. Pen up here is trying to tell you that, as the name implies, pen up, it means that as the snake head is going to move, as the snake head is going to move, we do not want it to draw anything on the screen. We do not want it to draw anything on the screen. That means as the snake is moving, we do not want it to draw anything on the screen. If you do not put this pen up, that's when you're going, as you're moving your snake, is going to draw just like the normal turtle that we're doing that time. We're doing using it to do design. As it was moving, that is what, as it was moving, it was drawing some things on the screen. It was drawing some lines on the screen. So that pen up is just trying to tell you that as this snake is moving, we do not want it to draw anything on the screen. It should just move to the direction in which we want. And the next thing we want to do now is, okay, where do we want the snake to start by the time we launch our screen? We want it to be in the middle. So we say head dot go to. Where are we going to? We're going to go to 0, 0. Okay. So by the time we go to 0, 0, okay, next is going to be what? Anything that we have done for head now. Okay, now let's go enter. Any updates, any method that we have had on head right now, head turtle, head dot shape, head dot speed, head dot pen up, head dot go to. We're going to append it to our snake here. We're going to append it to anything that we have gotten here. We're going to append it to our snake so that it will be able to do what, as it is eating these things inside the screen, it's also forming a list. So we are going to append everything inside what, that particular snake. So snake dot append. What are we appending inside that snake list? is going to be what the head that we have done so far. So by the time we decide to run this, let's see what it will come up with. So I would like to clear this as well. Let me clear this as well, and let's see what we can actually get from here. So let's run this. Guys, I've made a mistake. Who has observed the mistake
Yes,
right now?
I saw it. I wanted, I
What do you
wanted to.
think is a mistake now? Have I?
It should be snake.append create underscore head. Was that not?
No. I've not called out the function.
Uh-huh.
I've not called out the function. So what I'm going to do is to create a new cell and call out the
Okay.
function cell. Call out the function as well. So I can decide to bring this out. I can decide to bring this out here and decide to copy this out and fix it here. So I want them to come up in line here, and I can decide to delete this one. I decide to delete this one. Decide to delete this cell. So I would like to call them out and add another one. So the next one I'm going to call is going to be create underscore head, and sorry. So if you can see now, let's see if I'm going to call out. See, guys, I've made a mistake here for, it's underscore, not iPhone. So create head and set screen. So let's run this and see what it's going to give us right now. So let's run. So let's see. So guys, you can see here exactly what we wanted to do. We have created our total screen, and our snake head is coming out as a square. It's coming out as a square, and it is in the middle of our screen. It is in the middle of our screen. So that is what we have done tonight. And if you have any questions, please ask your questions. It's very, very important that you ask, and let's see what you have, and also try it out wherever you are. Okay. So if you have any questions, please ask. Okay, Mr. Sunday.
Hello, sorry, I came late and I don't know. I
Okay.
was trying to join. Sometimes the network just be somehow. So, but I don't
Okay.
know. Maybe I've missed a lot. Really, I
You
just
have,
joined. Is
if you
this
did
the
not
only,
start from the beginning, you have missed a lot.
okay? Is
Okay.
this the only
Continue.
screen?
Yeah,
The
this is
only
this is the only thing we have done. But inside this only thing that we have done, we have explained every concept that we have done here. Because you see this one, you see none. Sorry, all this one you are seeing none. Nothing is inside, but we have changed it inside the what inside the function in which we are creating. This head has turned to, apart from it being none from the initial global variable, it has changed inside here into something else in which we are trying to work on. So tonight we have looked at the screen, and we have also looked at the snake head. So that's where maybe you should go through the videos again. You might understand what happened.
no
But do
problem.
you understand? Maybe if you, at any point you don't understand, you can always reach out to me. Any questions, guys? Any questions at all? Do you follow up anything? Any questions, please? Remember, this project is something that will decide your next, what they call it, your next stage of the learning phase. So please, if you do not understand anything, please ask, because I do not want to see that this number will now disappear, reduce again. I want everybody to get along to the final stage, because after this project, there is another project. This one will now be, by the time you finish this project, you go into the application, you start applying the concept of Python into other, like a normal kind of field. So this is already a practical case of applying. This is a snake game. So, Mr. Mark, your hand is raised.
Okay. What I want to ask is, the color of the snake head is black. Is it automatically black?
Yes, it's a default black. It's a default black. Okay, it's a default black. You can actually say, okay, I decide to, maybe I want to use the snake head the head color. You can decide to bring it another method. Maybe there's definitely a color that you can change to. Okay, definitely you see it. The ones I did for this particular snake game was more of like the food itself. So anytime the snake head goes to eat the food, is going to add the color of that particular food inside of it. Remember when I was showing you the how the project in which we want to build. I don't know if you remember what I did. So let me
Yes, I
show you
remember
something.
at the beginning that the
Yes,
shape
let
was
me.
moving, picking up
Yes,
the colors. Let me use. Yeah.
let me run. Let me try and run it again. So you can see here. So let's see. Something is definitely the way this. Okay, you can decide to restart it. I think what happened there. So let's. Okay, let me run it again. Actually, although as we are also running this, we will see some errors as well. We'll definitely fix it up. So you can see something like this. And see now it has added the color of that food inside the snake head as well. And you can see the snake head, this thing changes as well. The food changes as well. Now it is square. That sometimes it's going to turn to circle. You can see it's still circle now, and you can see a lot of things. Now it's now a triangle. It's now a triangle now. So you can see the food is now appending inside the snake game, and you can see how it's wonderful for us to. Okay. Okay, so that's how it's going to be for us when we finish our game as well. So if you have any questions, please ask again. If there are no questions, we'll have to stop here for tonight. Any questions? Okay, thank you guys, and let me stop the recording.